Good morning, everybody. I think we'll get started now. Thank you to those of you who took your Friday the 13th to listen into this presentation. My name is Jennifer Jabs, and I'm the Senior Director of Policy and Advocacy here at the AUMA. Welcome to today's webinar on the resolution process. Before we start, I have some details for you about the webinar technology that I'd like to share. At any time during the webinar, you'll be able to use the chat box in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen in order to communicate with us. If you encounter any sound or other technical difficulties, please use the chat box to tell us about the problems right away so that we can address it. As well, you can type in a comment or ask a question about the presentation at any time. Your question or comment will be visible to all participants and will be responded to at the end of the presentation. We are recording the webinar and will publish an article in our digest newsletter to let you know when it's available. I'll turn things over to your presenter for this session, Councillor Jim Stevenson from the City of Calgary. Councillor Stevenson is a Vice President on the AUMA Board of Directors and chairs our Municipal Governance Committee, which is responsible for categorizing the resolutions so that they can be sent out to you in advance of convention. Councillor Stevenson has chaired the resolution session at convention for a number of years. Welcome, Councillor Stevenson.
Well, thank you, Jennifer. Now you're going to have a screen come up there that has a great snowman on it. That's a great cartoon. What I'm going to do today, my presentation will include a description of what resolutions are. We'll go over the process for your council to submit a resolution. We'll talk about how resolutions are debated and approved by our member municipalities at the convention, and of course the actions undertaken by AUMA in response to these approved resolutions. A resolution is a written motion that calls for action on a municipal matter by the federal or provincial governments or by AUMA. Some resolutions may be calls to change legislation or policy, while others may relate to programs or funding. Resolutions may be on an environmental, social, governance, or an economic matter. Resolutions typically have a life of 3 years after they've been approved. An exception is a policy resolution submitted by AUMA which does not really expire. A resolution is different from a request for a decision, or an RFD, that's raised at the mayor's caucuses. RFDs are not formally voted on by the complete membership, and they do not have the same formal process. As a member-driven organization, AUMA provides the resolution process so our regular members can have a voice in influencing our policy and advocacy work and can take a unified position. In case you aren't familiar with the term regular member, it means our villages, summer villages, towns, regional municipalities, and cities. There are 2 ways for our regular members to have a voice through this resolution process. First, you can be a submitter of a resolution, or second, you can vote to express your opinion about whether someone else's resolution should be accepted or not. Here is a summary that gives a breakdown of how members are using the opportunity to submit resolutions. The mid-sized city members are shown in orange, and over the past 7 years have made about 38% of the resolution submissions. Towns account for about 28% of submissions, and they are shown in light blue on the chart. 9% of the submissions are from Edmonton and Calgary, as shown in light green. Villages and summer villages are shown in purple, and collectively account for 4% of submissions. About 3% of the resolutions are submitted by a mixed group of members, as shown by the dark green color. For example, a resolution submitted by a town and a villages, or 2 towns, or whatever. The dark blue portion indicates resolutions brought forward from the AUMA board, and that's about 17%. Now this chart breaks down the resolutions by type. As you can see, the social topics dominate with 42% as shown in pink. Governance issues are shown in blue and account for 26% of resolutions. Infrastructure and energy issues in purple account for 18%, followed by the green environmental issues, which account for 13%. Here's an overview of the resolution process. There are 5 key steps which I'll briefly explain and then come back and share some further details. The resolution process begins with AUMA sending out reminders every spring about the due date for members to submit a resolution. This date, the deadline, is the 31st of this month, 31st of May. Resolutions can be submitted by the council of a regular member municipality or by councils from a group of regular member municipalities. They can also be submitted by the AUMA Board of Directors. When AUMA does not evaluate the appropriateness of a resolution, our Municipal Governance Committee undertakes a basic check to ensure the resolution is clear and it meets the criteria for a resolution. The committee also checks for duplication and categories of the resolutions. Resolutions are then published as in a book, and they're sent to members electronically so they can be reviewed in advance by your council, so your elected officials who attend convention know how they should vote on them. There's a time allocated in the convention program for the resolutions to be presented by their submitters and then debated and voted on by the members. If a resolution is supported by 50% plus 1 of the people voting at the convention, it is considered to be approved. Let's go through this process in a little bit more detail, starting with the submission process. In order to be eligible, the resolution must be for a topic of concern to municipalities throughout the province. You should check the active resolutions in our directory to make sure you are submitting something new that has not already been addressed. I'll explain the directory in a few minutes. Make sure you use the resolution form on our website and word your submission in a clear and concise manner. Here are the contents for the resolution. The resolution must indicate the name of the sponsoring municipality or municipalities if a group of you are submitting. The contact person is typically the CAO or a senior administrator. The format of the resolution form is preamble. It's a preamble followed by the call to action, which is referred to as the operative clause. The preamble describes the issue or opportunity and is comprised of a number of whereas clauses. This is very similar to what you see in your own councils where a notice of motion is brought forward. The whereas clauses, the number of clauses depend on the complexity of the issue, but there should be no more than 5 clauses. One of the whereas clauses should outline the applicable legislation and where, if possible, the specific section of the act or regulation. Broad examples should be provided to help members help them understand the issue or the opportunity in terms of magnitude or impact. The operative clause containing the call to action is worded, "Now therefore it be resolved that." This clause should specify who should be taking the action, the federal or the provincial government, AUMA, or some other party. It should be absolutely clear what the requested action is. Background information should be provided to a maximum of two pages to help AUMA and our voting members understand the issue and rationale for the recommended resolutions. The background should indicate the history, including when and how often the resolution has been submitted in the past. It should also indicate how the resolution relates to AUMA policy. Excuse me, I just grab a glass and a little water here. We recommend that you wait to put the title on your resolution until after you have finished writing it out. That way you can make sure the title clearly indicates the intent of the resolution. A copy of your council's motion to support the submission of your resolution must be provided with your resolution. As I mentioned earlier, the resolutions must be submitted to AUMA by the 31st of May deadline. However, there are provisions in the event that a new issue arises after May 31st. In this case, the matter could be considered as an extraordinary resolution. Similar to other resolutions, it must be submitted in the appropriate format and approved by the members' council. It is assessed by the AUMA board to confirm it is eligible as an extraordinary item. As I mentioned, our Municipal Governance Committee does not assess the merit of the resolutions, but conducts a basic screen to make sure the resolution is eligible in that it is a municipal matter and that it impacts all members or a targeted group of our members. The committee may make formal